P.K. Raman, and I will be a moderator on this panel. We have a very interesting topic titled IoT, a portal into human experience. IoT devices are becoming ubiquitous and are being deployed at an exponential pace. With 5G and better connectivity, IoTs have the ability to fundamentally change the way we work, interact, collect information, and get things done. For small and medium enterprises, SMEs, IoTs could provide a great opportunity to become more efficient, get better access to financial services, and make the entire supply chain ecosystem efficient. This will reduce costs, obviously, enable SMEs to provide targeted and hyper-personalized services to their customers, which should enable them to grow at scale. However, while IoTs are transforming the way we work, there are risks associated with IoT deployment that we need to be aware of and mitigate against. To help us explore these topics, we have a fantastic panel of subject matter experts, and I'm looking forward to having a great conversation. It gives me great pleasure to introduce them. First, I would like to welcome Gopal Padijjaru-Vittal, who is the CISO and CDO for Auto Club Group, which represents AAA, which has over 60 million members in US and Canada. Gopal is a well-known thought leader in cybersecurity world with over 30 years experience in information technology, cybersecurity, and operational technology. He's a featured speaker on many conferences worldwide. He also teaches cybersecurity in a few colleges around the US. Welcome, Gopal. Great to have you here. Osman Daly is a subject matter expert on enterprise architecture, strategy, and solution architecture. He was the vice president of Capgemini's North America practice and has led many engagements across multiple verticals from automotive to medical devices to technology companies to design, build, and sustain connected products using digital and IoT. Prior to this, he was a senior director of global security operations at Liberty Mutual and has worked in telecommunication industry as a chief architect. Warm welcome to you, Oz. Finally, to complete our great panel, let me introduce Charles Ng, Executive Vice President in Ensign InfoSecurity, one of the largest pure-play end-to-end cybersecurity service provider in Asia. Prior to this, Charles started and headed Booz Allen Hamilton cybersecurity practice in Asia. Charles also was involved in the formation of Cybersecurity Agency, CSA, in Singapore. He's one of the leading cybersecurity specialists in this field. Great to have you here, Charles. Let's get straight into the conversation. My first question is to Gopal. Can you explain in layman terms, what is an IoT? Also, I'm fascinated on the title of this conversation. How is human experience connected to IoTs?
So if you look at the human experience, our experience is formed by two things, living things and non-living things. So biological living things have some level of intelligence in them, even at the smallest level, at a cellular level to the human level, there is some intelligence. And when it comes to non-living beings, they're inert. There is no intelligence, they're inert. With software, it is now possible to inject some level of intelligence or artificial intelligence into these non-living things. So your phone, your table, we can put software anywhere you want. You can actually put a camera. These things can actually start seeing. You can put a microphone and a speaker. They can hear what you're saying and respond to you, like Alexa, Cortana, right? Your webcam, right? Anything. So we can actually change the way that we interact with non-living things. And it opens up an amazing opportunity for the entire world and humans and businesses. So that is why I think we call them smart devices. And it's smart because they can do smart things like humans.
And why human experience is an IoT?
Yeah, because like I said, these things, for example, your car can talk to you, your doorbell can talk to you and say who's at home, right? And your Nest or your, right, it can tell, it can moderate a lot of things. So your fridge can talk to you, right? So there's a lot of interesting possibilities when it comes to, it is going to change the way that how you live in the world and your experience, right? So how you experiencing the world, these devices can change the way that you're experiencing the world.
Also, let me come to you. Can you give us some examples of how IoTs are transforming the way we work, interact, and communicate? What business opportunities are you seeing with the use of IoTs, especially in SME situation?
I might repeat a few of the things that Gopal said, because I think they're relative in terms of what IoT is and how it relates to some of the use cases that we are seeing in different enterprises and how they're using them. So I think what you have to kind of really focus on is the understanding of what IoT is in a broader concept. IoT are devices that, as Gopal talked about, are now smart, right, because of embedded applications and embedded compute. But they're also connected because of wireless technology, right, 4G and 5G, as you talked about. It's also connected now to new technologies that make IoT more usable and create the experiences, such as cloud storage with artificial intelligence engines, cognitive learning, right? And all of these things will take the data that the IoT generates and actually do something with that data, interpret it, and create experiences in different fashions. I think there's three groupings I like to talk about when it comes to IoT use cases, right? And now IoT really creates a connected world. So the three use case families, so to speak, are connected things. That would be an example of things like your car that Gopal talked about, or even things like robotic vacuum cleaners that many people now have in their house, right? Connected people, so many of us have devices that always keep us connected, right? Like Apple Watches or Fitbits. And then connected places, right? Connected places, examples of connected places are connected stores, right? The retail experience now changes. Connected factories, right? Many companies that manufacture connect their factories now so they can do remote management of the factory. Now, with the advent of connected buildings and building maintenance now turning into connected cities, to where power grids and stoplights are now connected. Now, we'll talk about a little bit where all these things are headed, but some of the use cases, I think, are really around, how can you connect things and utilize the data to create experiences or to create new business models. I really like what you talked about with connected supply chain and optimization of supply chain. And one of the projects that we work on, or is with several different companies, is around connected supply chain and being able to get introspection into what happens to product in manufacturing and material that comes into the factories from a supply chain that companies typically don't have introspection into. So now with IoT can actually monitor raw material from the time it's possibly picked up at the farm, right, all the way to the factory in transportation, all the way through manufacturing, and all the way through when the product makes it onto the store shelf. Now, if you think about that, it means as a consumer, I can actually pick a product up now, and if it says gluten-free or organic, I can actually realize whether it is by using an application to see the genealogy of that product based on data provided through the supply chain, right, by IoT devices, which is fascinating. So just think about that one value chain and how many possibilities there are in terms of different business models you can build. And think about what that means even in today's context with things like COVID-19 and keeping the efficacy of the vaccination and managing it through the entire cold chain that it's actually supposed to be maintained in, and being able to visibly provide that because of IoT and detection along that path. I can go on and on about use cases, Raman, but that's an example of one that we're seeing.
Gopal, IoT looks like it's got the potential to be truly transformative, and we're already seeing a lot of use cases. Can you give us some examples of the risks or the challenges that you're seeing in the way that we are deploying IoTs, especially given the scale that we are now witnessing IoTs being deployed?
I'm going to talk about 5 areas of risks that we as subject matter experts see in the world. The first one is privacy. By 2025, 55% of the data that is going to be generated by the devices. So that's a known fact. And some of this data is about users and the devices they have. So there is concerns around privacy in terms of transparency and how this data is being used for you, and your consent. Is it being used in consent? So that privacy is becoming a big concern with this data because it's about you and your devices, your home, your connected things. The second thing is security. And it's a very complex topic when it comes to security, because the ecosystem that Oz was talking about, you have the devices with its own security issues. You have the network or the connectivity, the 5G, the Bluetooth, the NFC, the wireless, right? I mean, you have those connectivity which has got its own security issues. then these devices are connecting, talking to each other, sharing data with what is known as APIs. And we know there are security issues with the APIs itself. And then the back end, a cloud or on-prem or edge or whatever it is where this data is being persisted, there are concerns around those. So if you look at the totality of these things, there are really some critical concerns that's being raised around each of these areas. Now, the other thing the third concerns that we have is what I would call as unimagined threats, right? The unknown unknowns, right? When Wright brothers founded the airplane, he never thought that is going to be used to slam into a building. That was unimagined, right? So now we see that. So we are seeing that humans are so creative. We are worried about the unknown unknowns or unimagined threats that's going to face in the world of IoT. The fourth concerns that we have is ethical and fraud concerns, like because these devices by itself, right, what is known as machine ethics. It's the ethics of the humans who build this that is going to be embedded into these devices. They can be used to cause fraud and ethical concerns and bias, all those things, right? So, and the last one is responsible for fixing all these issues. Oz had written a wonderful article in LinkedIn in 2016 where he was saying that security is a team sport, right? Even non-security people need to understand. So we now know that the accountability is with the CISO or the board, but the responsibility, right? Oz had wonderfully written, many companies think that you hire a CISO, give them a budget, security is done, right? So we have to really figure out how the ecosystem can be protected and what is every single person's role in that ecosystem. That's something that we are figuring out as we go.
Charles, I mean, your company is tasked with protecting and cybersecurity. So given these risks that Gopal is speaking about, can the SOCs or the security operation centers be designed to mitigate some of these risks? Can we add layers of protection outside these devices or on the ecosystem? I mean, what is the thinking around how do we build security around?
And you know, it's amazing. I just go back to Gopal's point, just the sheer scale of IoT. I mean, we're going to move into IPv6 soon, and that means there's going to be more connected devices in this world than the number of sand on the seashore. So let's imagine on the scale alone. And then number two, all of them are connected to each other. Number three, there's no security embedded in the IoT devices. So we're doing a project today with, on healthcare, IoMT, called IO medical devices. And it's going to grow 3 times in the next couple of years. We're talking about reaching about 7.8 billion IoMTs in the world. And as security professionals, when we look at that, we say, look, is security ready to resolve these issues from a people, process, and technology perspective? And the actual answer is that the current industry is not ready for it. Let me explain a few things, and then we can talk a bit about what I think is going to come soon. Number one, the current technologies that we have, whether it's about deploying an agent or EDR into the IoT, is not going to work. And two, to be competitive, most of the IoT devices are not, and manufacturers are not going to embed security early on. And number three, there's the sheer scale of the data that's going to come. It's going to crash most of the backend SIEMs. So in that future world, what are we seeing, and what do I think the industry is going to move towards? I think number one, there's a range of very nascent and very interesting sort of products that we are seeing in the market today, which are trying to look at sort of IoMT behaviors and trying to baseline those behaviors and then try to find anomalies. Now that's very nascent, but I think that there's some promise to that. The second thing is it's very interesting because just last week Congress passed a law where IoTs are going to be sort of regulated, and that's going to come from NIST. And that means there's going to be growing sort of regulation, sort of specifications, reference architectures that's going to come in place soon. And I think that could change the way the industry begins to think about security. And the third thing is that, I think it's analytics. We're going to see a transformation in analytics in the next 5 years. And I hope that we'll see some of that in cyber as well.
And I think it shares a lot in some of the things Charles has talked about. Right, I think one of the things, Gopal and I have known each other for a long time, so I'll reference back some of the things that we've worked on. That's pretty innovative in terms of how you do this. A lot of cybersecurity today, right, and practices that are in place to mitigate risk and so forth, are really in the IT space, right? And Gopal talked about this being a team sport. It's not just cybersecurity folks running around with firewalls and agents and antivirus software to kind of fix these things. It is a team sport. It has to start from design inception. However, in today's world with IoT devices and IoT use cases and that ecosystem that we talked about that makes up all the technological attack surface that exists, it's not controlled by IT anymore. It's now controlled by other groups who innovate and innovate at the speed that a company needs to work at to earn revenue. That's typically the engineering departments of companies. And right now what I see, right, is I see them struggling with how to figure out to be agile and how to get DevOps and all these things in place and adapt new technologies. And sometimes cybersecurity falls by the wayside, right, when it comes to these things. But that has to start in the design phase, right? One of the things I was referring to that Gopal and I used to work on was threat modeling. What that is, it means is that you have to start with understanding the thing that you're doing, the thing that you're building, and then how it can be misused, right? We talk about use cases, but there's also misuse cases. Those misuse cases actually are tied to the way the thing works and tied to the way the thing is exposed and can be misused for malicious purposes. And those are the things that would feed people like Charles to build the right use cases and monitor the right things, right? Now think about this. I'll use a real-time example or a real-world example. One of my clients makes agricultural vehicles, right? I talked about the genealogy of product from farm, and they're looking to put sensors, right, to actually see how the soil is, right, and combine that with weather data, right, so that farmers can get better intelligence on what crops to plant when, et cetera, et cetera. These are connected vehicles, part of a bigger ecosystem to supply that genealogy information to that supply chain of farm to table. But there's so many misuse cases that you could feed into that supply chain if you wanted to control it for monetary purposes. If you wanted to destroy crops, as an example. Now think about that.
Yeah.
Or if you wanted to inject things into crops, right, that actually change the way we behave as humans. All of those things are examples of misuse cases and have to be thought about up front. And the amount of data that Charles talked about that would crash SIMs is unimaginable when you talk about trying to manage end-to-end value chains, right, using IoT to optimize business operations, right? So I think the threat modeling is absolutely a key in the design phase with the engineering teams who build IoTs.
To paint a picture of the world 5 years from now, from your point of view, what would you like to see or what do you foresee in this world of IoT?
I'm going to quote Melvin Cransworth. Technology is neither good nor bad, but it's also not neutral. I believe that the future of this world is going to be determined by 9 big corporations, 6 in the US and 3 in China, and what Amy Webb calls as the big 9.
I think it will get worse before it gets better, but the good point is that it will get better. And I think that, watching how the typical industry is moving at the moment, I think the right moves are being made by regulators, by the cybersecurity industry, but there's going to be a few challenges we have to overcome.
The things that I foresee are actually in the movies already. I love movies and I love TV, so I foresee that the world will be like what we see in Star Trek or the Jetsons, right? Advanced robotics, right? Artificial intelligence making decisions for us, and things like tricorders that can actually heal our bodies, right? Like Charles talked about with medical devices, advanced medical devices. Connected cars, right? Live in ecosystems of connected and smart cities. I see a path clearly to all of those things and how they work, and being able to put technology that's already in place to make these things work. So that's what I see for the next 5, 10, 20 years.
I do appreciate your insights and hope we can meet again in future. Keep safe and thank you once again.